Hi, JP Gus Godsey, Director at the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce. We're glad that you're with us today for one of our new civic engagement platforms. Actually, they're not new. We've been doing them since we got started a year ago. But today's a good one with Chuck Smith. He's a longtime friend of mine, former chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia Beach, among other things, a decorated veteran. And now he wants to be our next Attorney General for the state of Virginia, running in the Republican primary. Welcome, Chuck. Tell us all about it, old pal.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, thank you so much. Glad to be here. Listen, I'm going to get right to it. I'm in a race running against 5 other people. 3 on the Republican side, 2 on the Democratic side. Maybe the 2 on the Democratic side will weed out, but here's the point. I have more experience in every single critical category than all of them combined. Well, not combined, but certainly all the Republicans and all the Democrats. In a lot of areas, I have more experience than all of them combined. More military experience, more law experience, more Spanish language fluency experience, and certainly more experience being a chair of a party. But here's the deal. We're facing some real issues right now. I think number 1 on the board is the Constitution, the derision of the Constitution. I'm in this race because I believe in the Constitution. I have a background in the Constitution, not just instructing in the Constitution, but having served in service, having gone through the law and order, the regiment of the military, JAG Corps, and also having just a faith and belief that the values of this country are being destroyed. I think the number 1 issue on the board is the derision of the Constitution. Right under that, you're probably going to find the Second Amendment. Why? Because you get rid of our Second Amendment rights, you get rid of any rights. Listen, these rights are guaranteed by the Constitution. They're no joke. They're not play. The Virginia Code doesn't trump it. The Virginia Constitution doesn't trump it. We've got to get back to our constitutional rights. If they can take away the second, they can take away the first. Listen, they can even take away the 13th. They can take away the 14th. So I think at some level, we need an attorney general who's going to stand by the Constitution. The current one we have is not doing that. We've got to open our schools. We've got to protect our citizens. We've got to bring back law and order. We've got to bring back the rule of law. I've done a lot of things in my life. You know, on the campaign trail, I've done some pretty amazing things in my life. And I've done them at times where my opponents could not compete. In many cases, or in some cases, I've done them where my opponents had not yet been born. My point here is that what's happening in this country, JP, is nothing short of anarchy, nothing short of chaos. We need a law and order attorney general. We need someone with a background and experience to right this ship. I think I bring that to the table. There are a lot of things going on in this country. I think where if we don't have someone who has a background in critical areas, we're going to screw it up. We've lost every single election in the last 10 statewide. The voters have rejected each one of our governor candidates, lieutenant governor candidates, attorney general candidates, and they've given the nod in each case to the Democrats. I bring something to the table that we've never seen before. 41 years law experience. That's more than my good friend Bob McDonnell. That's more than my good friend Cuccinelli. That's more than my good friend Terry Kilgore. In fact, JP, that's more, I've checked, more than any person who's ever run for the office of Attorney General in Virginia's 400-year history. This is the time for that type of experience. This is the time for a Navy JAG who has retired as a commander, who has practiced constitutional law on constitutional issues. This is the time, I believe, for a Marine who has the courage and patriotism to have made a decision early on to defend this country and stand up. This is the time, I believe, for someone who can communicate with the Spanish community. I'm fluent, self-taught, fluent in Spanish language. You know, we've got the largest and fastest growing minority here in Virginia. Northern Virginia is the nugget. We've got to win Northern Virginia. I believe I communicate best in that area. And I think this is time, JP, for someone who just, I think is, has birthright patriotism. Having been born on the 4th of July has got to count for something. So I'm in this race to win it. Our poll numbers are higher than everybody, at least higher than the 3. One person just entered the race, or the 2. One person just entered the race. Our donors are higher than all of them combined on the Republican side. The money we have raised is higher. We raised over, I want to say, close to $300,000. Last time I ran for this, I did a horrible job, miserable job. We've got a top-rate team now. And so we're pushing forward. We think we can win this. We think we can do well for Virginia. And quite frankly, we think Virginia's going to like us. Last point, the Democrats we know have posed this issue about black, 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 Black Lives Matter, and they nearly destroyed the country, debased the country, asking for the renaming of America. Anybody that's ever had slaves, we know it's not about black. JP, although I am black, it's not about black. We've got more black babies being aborted in New York than are born alive. You've got black children being killed every weekend in Chicago. We've got blacks across the country, Atlanta, Portland, Philadelphia, who are being killed. The issue is not about being black, but if the Democrats want to raise that issue, if they want to go there, I beat them in that area too, because I've been black all of my life. What am I saying? I think I'm the voters' ideal candidate. I think I present something they've never seen before. I think I present an issue that they can say, we're going to get behind Chuck because he stands for our values.
You know, Chuck Smith wants to be our next attorney general here in the state of Virginia. I'm JP Gotze, the Coastal Virginia director. We're going to have him on for several more minutes. I worked alongside Chuck on several issues for the community and for people. And Chuck, I never ever looked at you as black. I mean, to hear you say that, it's just you were just Chuck Smith to me, my good buddy.
Yeah. Right.
And who had been to my home and worked side by side. And it's just sad that the country's come every issue, whether the sun comes up tomorrow or not, is now racist or black and white. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so I think we need people from these communities to stand up and say that. We need whites, we need blacks, Asians, Hispanics to stand up and say, we're not a racial country. Yes, we have a past, we have a history, but we learn from his history, right? When I was chairman in Virginia Beach, I don't think one person in that party thought that, hey, we got a black chairman and therefore we're going to treat him as being black. No, I was treated like one of the bunch. I caught hell, I gave hell. I took my lead from you and a few others. That's the type of thing I think we need across the country, JP.
Hey, let's go back to the gun issue. I just read an article in the paper today about a couple of the bills that have passed concerning background checks. We haven't taken a position on that for the Coastal Virginia Chamber, and it doesn't matter what I think, but the statistics state that the vast majority of Americans believe in background checks before people can buy a gun. Do we have enough in place? These bills that were just introduced in the House, are they more of an infringement, or are they common sense?
I think they're more of an infringement. I think we don't need to go beyond the laws that we have. We're going to check people to make sure that they are mentally capable before we issue weapons to them. If we're going to tell people that they're going to have to have one gun a month, if we're going to tell people that if we think somehow that they're about to go over the cliff, we can take their property from them, I think we're going to run afoul of some other provisions of the Constitution. And I'm not so sure that we should go there. What we currently have in place, I think, is sufficient. I don't think the General Assembly needed to enact more laws. I think they've gone far afield. I know we've got some crazy people out here with weapons. We got to take guns away from them. I know we got some criminals out here with weapons. We got to take guns from them. But the vast majority of law-abiding citizens don't do anything or don't do any of the things that justify a General Assembly stripping them of their Second Amendment rights.
We have, Chuck, what is in place? Because there's a lot of confusion. And if you go to a gun store, a gun show, and I go in and I want to buy a rifle or a handgun, they have to run a background check on me currently. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if I want to sell a gun to my neighbor, do I have to run a background check on him?
Supposedly.
That's what I understand too. The only times you don't have to is if it's in the family.
Yeah, well, here's the risk. Fail to do any one of those things, right? You could wind up in jail, or you could wind up charged. How you juxtapose that with the Constitution? So I mean, if the Constitution says you have the right to bear arms, I think the limit should stop with the laws we currently have in place. We did not need the General Assembly to pass those laws.
Okay, let's get into small. Let's get into small business. I don't know what the Attorney General can do for that. We're very much a small business focused chamber. We try to do some of the things that the big chambers slip through the cracks, so to speak. Attorney General, what could you do to help the small businesses that certainly are struggling now more than ever?
Well, I think we need to help small businesses by convincing our elected officials, particularly our governor and particularly our attorney general, that there's some phases of the Constitution you just cannot you cannot interfere with. You can't stop people from going to work. You can't stop businesses from flourishing. You can't allow businesses one by one to drop and drop and drop and drop. I think President Trump nailed it on the head. The cure can't be worse than the problem. And I think what we've seen is a governor who just insists that he has the right under Virginia code to force businesses out of business, to allow businesses to go down one by one. But here's the thing. Not only him, the attorney general has taken some businesses to court because they refuse to wear masks. The attorney general has put businesses or allowed businesses to go under simply because he believes that they're in violation of the mask requirement. Our government is given a set of rules and is given a playbook, and they should function by that playbook. I think it's the role of the government to make businesses work, to allow the economy to flourish, to allow businesses to stay open, and allow people to keep their jobs and their family livelihood.
That certainly makes sense. Chuck Smith here in the few minutes we have left. He wants to be the Attorney General for our great state of Virginia. Marijuana, I don't know clearly what they passed up there, but I think anybody with common sense reads the writing on the wall that somewhere between now and the next several years, marijuana is going to be legal throughout the United States of America. It just seems to be the trend that we're heading, whether we like it or not. What's your position on that? And what's the current law that Northam just signed?
I think they're trying to get above the small possession, simple possession of marijuana being the destruction of people's lives. They don't want people charged with these petty offenses and then fail to make bond or fail to pay bond, and then their lives are routinely destroyed. I take a different position. I think we should look at the number of deaths that we have on our highways from people drinking alcohol, being inebriated, and the laws that are being passed to prevent that, and ask ourselves, do we really want more people inebriated under the influence of marijuana in addition to alcohol, either driving our vehicles or just walking the streets? People walking, getting in the middle of the highway because they're dosed up by marijuana. I have no problem whatsoever, and I don't think Virginians have a problem with medical marijuana, but I think we need to take a close look as to whether we're providing for the safety of our citizens by putting more people under the influence of something, walking our streets or in front of our cars and vehicles, or driving vehicles.
So the bottom line is, right now, medical marijuana, okay, but recreational marijuana for people that just want to go out and get stoned, you're tapping the brakes on that for now.
I think we should. I think we should push back to that to our judges. We should get some common sense in some of our sentences, rather than putting people away for the rest of their lives for simple possession. I don't think the issue is changing the law. I think it's enforcing the law that we have. Have some of these judges, rather than put people in prison for a year or put them on probation for 2 years. I think our judges can have some common sense in some of these sentences.
We got you. We got to wrap up. I mean, it's always delightful to talk to you, but anybody can get to Chuck Smith's website simply by going Chuck Smith for Attorney General, and his big smiling face pops up there with his family. And how is the family, by the way? Give them my best. Everybody good?
Absolutely, JP. Wife's doing fine. My son finished the Naval Academy. He is now working in Maryland. I've got one still in school, 15 years old. Everyone's doing great. One at VCU. All of them are doing great.
Give me a last pitch to all our listeners and viewers, and this will be up on the Coastal Virginia website. And of course, Chuck Smith, he might put it up on his website. He's certainly welcome to. Why Chuck Smith for AG?
Because we don't need a black attorney general. We don't need a white attorney general. We don't need an Asian or Hispanic attorney general. We need an American attorney general. We need someone who's going to be the attorney general for all the people, to stand up for the Constitution. The last thing in the world we need is the derision of the Constitution. That affects everybody, and that's the wrong way to go. I am the best qualified candidate for this seat in years and years and years. My experience far exceeds every single other candidate in every single critical area for Attorney General of Virginia. I hope the people will vote not just for Chuck Smith, but vote for the Constitution, vote for law and order, and vote for the rule of law.
Come down and see us here in Hampton Roads. Thanks to Gary Byler, our chairman, and Ron Villanueva, the executive director of the Coastal Virginia Chamber. We want you to join the team. because we have a great chamber. I'll come out and do a infomercial with you at your place of business right there for free live that we'll post on the site. And who knows if Chuck Smith's Attorney General will get him to come be in it too. Who knows?
Absolutely.
Chuck, thanks.
Absolutely.
Until
Okay.
next time, I'm JP
Okay.
Gatsey. That's Chuck Smith. We'll see you on the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce.
All right. Thanks a lot, JP.